Welcome into our In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com. Tom Leach along with Keeneland's Director of Simulcasting, Jim Goodman, as we take a look at Saturday stakes races around the country. We'll take a look at the Keeneland stakes races for Saturday, headlined by the Coolmore Lexington, in a separate podcast. But, Jim, let's first go up to New York for their 8th race. It's the Grade 2 Distaff. Kauai Katie, horse was in the Oaks last year, making her 4-year-old debut in this spot. Where did you land?
I like Kauai Katie. She was tough last year. She's coming out of 2 straight Grade 1s, one at Belmont and one at Saratoga. Put her up for a rest, and she hasn't run since July 27th, but if she's ready, I think she's a class field. She's working well for return. She couldn't handle a Grade 1 last out, but she fits very well here. Love Her Dad is my second choice for Linda Rice. Could get locked up in a speed duel with Munning's sister, though, so if that happens and Kauai Katie is not quite ready, I kind of like My Pal Christie from the outside. Marty Wolfson takes this horse. I'm not sure whether she's going to run here or at Charlestown. If she goes here, I think that she can have a tracking trip off the speed, and if Kauai Katie does not fire, she's got a shot at a price on the outside. But Kauai Katie is probably my top choice.
I am going with Kauai Katie as well. Pletcher wins at a 28% clip off this kind of a long layoff. You mentioned the works, and she's got a class edge, I think. So Kauai Katie for me. My Pal Chrissy, I'll keep Kauai Katie and I'll use My Pal Chrissy, the 7, the 2 Miss Dioro, and the 3 Lion DNA for exactas with Kauai Katie. Let's go to Calder. Their 7th race on Saturday is the Grade 3 Miami Mile, and I thought this was kind of a tough one to handicap. I ended up going to Monument Hill. Had an excellent race off a layoff over at Gulfstream. Now comes to Calder, track in which he's run well before, and he's a 1-mile specialist. He's run a lot of times at a mile, good record there, and I think he won a mile race here. So Monument Hill for me. Summer Front I took a long look at. Alley Oop Oop, Hey Leroy, nice win down at Gulfstream. So I'll use all 3 of those, keying with Monument Hill in the exactas, using those other 3. What about you?
I took Summer Front. Christophe Clement, Joe Bravo. He is actually 5 for 6 at the distance. Has 1 for 1 at Calder, and Summer Front is coming out of 6 straight graded stakes races. So the class is there. Ran the Shadwell here last year. So I'm going to take Summer Front for Christophe Clement. The other horse that intrigues me, though, is Padilla. And simply because 2 for 2 at the distance and could be the controlling speed, and that's important on a mile turf race. And so I'm going to take Summer Front over Padilla. Hey Leroy has a big shot. I think he needs a little more distance. I think he's a big closer, and if Padilla does get an easy lead, it might come down to a head bob between those 2 and Summer Front. But I'm going to take Summer Front on top of Padilla and Hey Leroy.
Going to take a look at a couple of stakes races up at Hawthorne in Chicago, where it is Illinois Derby Day. That's the 9th race. But first, let's go to the 8th race, the Grade 360 Sails for fillies and mares, and going a route of ground here. And I ended up going back and forth. Finally settled on a horse that you've picked before in some of these podcasts, Flashy American. Maybe a little bit of a class edge, I thought. Second off the layoff's a good angle for Kenny McPeak. And I think this horse has some class to her. So I'm going to key off Flashy American. Use her in exactas with Gamay Noir, who won at a big price down at Gulfstream last time, and I ended up giving out the exacta in that race. I actually liked the horse that ran second, but used Gamay Noir, and she won at 49-1. Imposing Grace, the 8, and the 1 Sonia's Angel. But the 2 Flashy American is my pick. What about you?
Well, I went with Gamay Noir, but when I was handicapping the race last night at my kitchen table, and I told my wife I was picking this horse, I'm going to the funeral because I missed the wedding, but I didn't have her at 49-1. I remember you did, but she looked so good there. And Marty Wilson again is the person who puts his horses where they need to be, and Marty just keeps winning with those horses. He's 21% trainer for the year, and very careful about placing his horses. I'm going to go with Gamay Noir. The other horses, I like Dixie Strike if she goes here. She's also entered at Keeneland. I think she's going to go at Keeneland, but she has a shot here if she goes. And then the other chances, Ana Lucia and Sonia's Angel and Flashy American all have shots. And Flashy American is a horse I've picked before. So Gamay Noir is my choice, and I would key those 3 below in an exacta.
The next race, number 9 on the Hawthorne card on Saturday, is the Grade 3 Illinois Derby. And you got Midnight Hawk for Baffert, going to be the likely favorite in here. Where did you land?
Well, when Andy Beyer calls a horse a triple Beyer fig horse, he must be looking at Midnight Hawk, because Midnight Hawk has 4 races better than any other horse in the race. The last 4 Beyers are 98, 95, 93, 95. I don't see how he gets beat here if he doesn't hate Hawthorne. I think he stands over this field, and it's no contest. So you got to look for some price below him, maybe. Class Leader looks like the most logical second-place horse just off the 2 races at Fairgrounds for Neil Howard. If you look for a price that may be overlooked, maybe Emmett Park. Lori Wydick won't get much play there. It's just hard to get any money here, and Dynamic Impact is the other horse that probably makes sense. But I think Midnight Hawk in a walk over here.
Midnight Hawk, very hard to beat, I would agree. I'm going to try a shot with Global Strike. 3 mile and an 1/8 races, so fitness should not be an issue. Just going to throw out the last race, and he's worked well since for Pletcher. And I'm going to take a shot here with Global Strike that could upset Midnight Hawk. Box those 2 in an exacta. Just on the chance that Midnight Hawk didn't like the track, I'd play small exactas with the 2 a step ahead and the 8 Class Leader that you mentioned. But mainly it's Midnight Hawk and Global Strike, and I'm going to box those 2 and hope Global Strike gets there first for a bigger price. Finally, we'll go to Charlestown for the Grade 2 Charlestown Classic. And the question here is, can you beat Game On Dude? Can you?
Well, I keep trying to beat him. I tried to beat him the last time, and he didn't. He beat Will Take Charge in the Sanity Handicap. So he won here last year. Probably not a good idea to take anything against him, but I thought Long River looked really good at Aqueduct the last couple of times out and got beat by a horse named Ramesh, who got off to a real easy lead and just walked. And I thought Long River was the best horse in the race. So I'm thinking Long River maybe 4 or 5 to 1. Game On Dude's will be 2 to 5. So crazy things happen at Charlestown because it's such a unique track. So I'm going to take Long River on top of Game On Dude. The other horse that intrigues me in here, just because he's so great at Charlestown, Lucy's Bob Boy has been running at minor stakes races and optional allowance claimers, but he's 17 for 21 at Charlestown. So kind of like a home court advantage there. So I would take him to get in the money. Game On Dude is going to be odds-on favorite, but I'm going to take Long River on top. I end up
with Long River as well for a lot of the reasons that you mentioned. Those last 2 races look really impressive. And he's just 4, so he could still have some upside left. The other thing that was intriguing, you got Moreno in here, and if he and Game On Dude are both in the race, Moreno could cause problems for Game On Dude up front and soften him up, and that could enable Clubhouse Ride to be kind of dangerous. He ran pretty well here last year against Game On Dude, and doesn't really like to win a lot, but if you get a bit of a speed duel, that could set it up for his late run. So I'm going to use Long River as the key horse, and then I'll use him in exactas with Game On Dude and with Clubhouse Ride. And if you get lucky enough to have it come 5-1 or 1-5 and get Game On Dude out of there, exacta payoff would probably be pretty nice. 3 stakes races on the card Saturday at Keeneland. We're going to take a look at those as part of a separate podcast that we do for every racing day of the Keeneland Spring Meet. So check those out and our picks for those races, as well as the late pick 4 on Saturday. And a reminder, there is no racing on Sunday because of Easter at Keeneland. So after today, just 3 days left in the Spring Meet at Keeneland. And as of this Saturday, we are 2 weeks away from Kentucky Derby 140. Best of luck with all your picks. Keep your Keeneland Select account funded so you can take advantage of any good opportunities that you see along the way on this road to the Derby this spring. For Jim Goodman, I'm Tom Leach. Have a good day.